There's something else that you're playing for here this week, which I'm not sure if everyone is aware of, what's on your hat there. And excuse me while I just sort the name. Celia Boquan. So, ladies and gentlemen, you probably remember the Spanish golfer who was unfortunately killed in the United States a few weeks ago. That was Juan's best friend. So he's playing with a heavy heart as well. So he's happy to answer questions about that, which I think is very brave. But if you don't mind addressing that to start.
Well, this one? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, first of all, thanks for having this first question. It's going to be an unbelievable week to stay here in Sydney to play this event first. But I think to play with her in my heart is going to be truly special. I couldn't imagine any better venue to have her at first. And now I think for the golf world has been with Yardos Lyle the worst news we had this year. So I'm looking forward to play for her. I will remember her as she was, because she was smiley, she was beautiful, and she was one of the first persons whoever talked to me after every tournament. So she lives in the States and I live in Europe, but every single day we had a chat, and it's really special. And I think the best way to offer my memories, just wearing these kind of ribbons that make it special. My bag is also customized for her, and I'm sure that if I make a good result or if I not, she'll be the first one, happy or not, up there. So that's what I can say.
Thanks, mate, for talking about it. It's very brave of you. We appreciate it very much. So Mike and Juan have got amazing stories, and I'll let you guys pick away at them.
Just for both of you, just talk to us about this experience and what it means to you and the significance of it.
Well, I think it's we are going to be part of history, first of all. I mean, I think the experience for us is going to be really positive. I think we will enjoy it, I guess.
Let's hope so.
But, I think something that I think is going to be really special, and you may not think about it, is the professional player experience are going to have with us. I mean, I'm not saying that our experience is going to be good, but their experience is going to be awesome to be part of this, and because I think they don't expect what they are going to see these days.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. I think from my perspective, and it'd be fair to say from many of the players' perspectives, it's a bit surreal. It's pretty exciting, obviously, but I think about where we've all come from, and it's come from such a low point. And I think back, I got sick when I was 18. I contracted meningococcal septicemia, breathed in at the wrong time, something as simple as that, and that resulted in the loss of my legs. And I think back to those hospital days and what I looked like, down to 47 kilos and these sorts of things, and now to be at the Australian Open and playing in the All Abilities Championship is a very, very special moment. Golf has been a big part of my recovery. It's an amazing game from a mental health perspective for people that deal with adversity, deal with injury, and that for me has been a massive factor in living a healthy, positive, and active life going forwards. And the more people that we can get out of their heads and out onto the golf course that deal with adversity, deal with disability, the better. And this is a great initiative and a great step forward for golf in this country, and I hope around the world as well.
Just talk to us as well about the prospect of this happening across the world in other tournaments as well. Would you love to see this at possibly even majors? And just talk to us about that part of it.
I think the initial part of it. I mean, I think what Christian and his team has done here, it's going to be recognized worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first of many. In Europe, we've been close to European Tour in quite a few events with Edgar, close to Portugal Masters, a few more, and I think they will copy this idea. I'm sure they will, and I'm probably will be part of that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and I'm very, very close with Christian. We've been friends for a long time. He asked me to come over in 2014 to play in Japan. Played like an absolute hacker. It was pretty awful. But I did put the challenge out. I said, mate, all credit and hats off to Christian for what he's been able to do in Golf Australia to get this off the ground, and to To take it one step further, we were at the cocktail party last night, and I said to him, mate, congratulations on all the work you've done so far, but in 2 years' time, Juan and I and the rest of the guys, we expect to be at the Masters at Augusta, so, so hopefully something like that. So no pressure there, but yeah, hopefully this catches on and we can really see some great inroads going forwards. Oh, here we go.
How do you think you'll go with the crowds on Saturday and Sunday?
They'll be happy to see us. Yeah, it's a little bit that what I was talking about, the professional players, they don't expect what they are going to see this week. So I think it's a big surprise because, I mean, it's awesome to see these guys playing golf, these professional players, Brand, Matt. I mean, there are so many good players around here. But crowds already know what they do, but they don't know what we do and how we do. So I think it will be a good surprise for them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I get a little bit more nervous than perhaps Juan does in front of, I heard there was 50,000 people on Sunday, so I might sleep in on that day, but we'll see how we go. No, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be just a wonderful opportunity and something that I'm certain that none of us will ever forget.
Sorry, can I just add something there? Also, I also want to, I suppose, sort of say the amount of people that will be out there with disability in Australia that will see these guys competing in the championship, and they'll be out there and they'll be obviously inspired about what they see. A good example, you see, Adam Wabi from Belgium. His disability is he has cerebral palsy, and I think visually, if people are out there and they're seeing people competing on the world stage, I think it's also important to recognise that there is a really good pathway at the grassroots level in our sport. In particular, with the relationship that we have with the PGA of Australia, we have about 100 PGA All Abilities coaches around the country now, and they're the perfect sort of entry point into our sport for people with disability. So. Fantastic to have these guys as inspiring the next generation of golfers coming through, but also, I suppose, calling out those ways to get into the sport for people that do get inspired from what they see this week. So.
This is probably a little bit different one, but we're in a pretty windy location. You're obviously you're differently working off the ground to the other guys in the field. How will you go with wind and stuff like that? Will that affect your games more than it would for the able-bodied guys in the field, or?
Well, in my particular case, I mean, we are all really different players. So in my case, if it's a tough wind, it can make me feel in between trouble, but not so much as expected. I mean, I don't have any problem on bunkers or big slopes. I will try to play, or I can play every single shot on the golf course. So you have to ask one by one. I mean, in my case, that's mine.
Yeah, I'd say definitely, because I'm built like a string bean, so it blows me over pretty easily. I was standing on the 11th hole yesterday and had to step away from my drive because the wind was just absolutely belting in there, and I couldn't get my balance properly. So it will be challenging, but I think we've been through bigger things in our life than to worry about a little bit of wind out there on the next few days, that's for sure.
How much fun has it been hitting balls next to the tour players? Because I know I've had multiple say, have you seen Juan hit golf balls? Because it's seriously impressive how good he hits it. How fun is it to just hit balls next to them and have them turn around and say, geez, you guys have seriously got game? Because you guys know you do, but they probably haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, first day I arrived here, on Monday, and I was just hitting some balls, and then went to some chipping. And Pete Leonard, I'm Spanish and I know him, so he has to be a worldwide legend, said to me, come and play a few holes. And we play 9 holes. I mean, that Pete Leonard want to play with your 9 holes is like, oh, I'm doing something good. So, it has been tremendous feedback. Yesterday I was having lunch, and John Senden came to me, said, you did pretty well. I said, yes, I do. Thank you. I actually know, it's a tremendous feedback from all the field out there.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to play with any pros yet. I came down for a practice game and I met Peter on the putting green as well. Didn't play any holes, but what a wonderful fella. And it's great to, I guess, give them an opportunity to echo what Juan's saying, is that, it's impressive for them, because I think everyone within this room and everyone in Australia and around the world, for instance, understands how tough golf is. Golf is a very, very hard game to play when you've got all your legs and all your arms and no issues whatsoever. So I guess this is a bit of a display of what you can do if you really work hard at it. And this man to my right is a perfect example of that. Shane Luke's another one, definitely worth a mention. And of course, Jeff Nicholas, Steve Pryor, these guys, and the Aussies, and then the internationals as well. Unfortunately, we won't have Manuel here, who's another incredibly good player. But overall, I think that, like as well, what Juan was saying, each person is very, very different, and they all have their own challenges, own individual challenges, none bigger than the other. And they just get out there and do their thing, and that's what I think inspires people, and that's what we're all here to do. So, and have a good time in the process.
Mike, is there any sledging allowed? Because
yeah,
I know that we are in Australia, and
yeah,
we
it's
know
already
that
started.
you like a bit of.
So you guys obviously all look at Instagram and everything, and everyone always takes those. There's a very famous. Everyone takes photos of themselves when they're at a resort or something, and they've got their feet up, and they're sunbaking, and they're letting the world know that their life's just incredible. And we had a photo from one of the guys with his feet up. He just arrived from England, feet up on the table, and I thought I'd shoot back and have my two prosthetic legs on the table there like that, and take a photo like that just to give him a bit of hell. But yeah, there's always good banter. We certainly don't sit there and talk about what has happened to us. Really, it's more about telling each other how bad we are when we stuff a shot up and things like that. So there's take no prisoners, that's for sure. So.
And just talk to us about raising awareness. For you, Juan, you obviously go to countries in South America like Colombia and Chile, and do you want to do the same around Australia? Talk us about that, about raising awareness for golf for the disabled.
I think the work we are doing in South America is another key point for the Paralympics. I mean, I think we are working together to get that big achievement which Paralympics will mean for the game. So a few years ago, they gave me the opportunity to meet South America, and golf is a really good sport over there. But for disabled, it's like something banned. So it doesn't exist for disabled. So I went there, and I've been there for 3 years working, and everything is going on so fast. I mean, they are now in negotiations to join EDGA, Colombia, Chile. They are quite getting close. Argentina. So I think it's the side of the world that I can manage because of my language and on my culture, and I think that he will do the same around here. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just creating awareness, and I think having that end point where they can see what's possible. It doesn't mean to say that they're necessarily going to have to, or they might not want to play in the Australian Open, but they might say, well, like I said, get you out of the house, get you into the fresh air, away from the screen, away from your thoughts. Sometimes can be a little bit hard, particularly after a traumatic circumstance. So the game of golf it's far more than the game, I guess, for a lot of people in this situation. So.
And just on the Paralympics, is that just the main goal, getting into the Paralympics at this stage?
For sure, I think for an athlete as I am, there's nothing better than be able to represent your country in the Paralympics. I mean, I represent my country in European Championship and all kinds of things like that, but to be part of the biggest thing of sport, it has to be an unreal feeling. And for sure, the key goal of all this, for me, there is a social side of all this, which is amazing the work golf does for people with disability. But in my case, what I would love to see is competition grow up. And if competition is growing up, Paralympics will come.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not a question. It's more of a statement, I'm afraid. But the Paralympics is one thing, but we also have to get 500,000 new people playing the game with disability. And so, yes, we were disappointed about the Paralympics, but it should not stop us getting these 500,000 people starting to play the game. 15% of the world is disabled. 15% of the world is disabled. And we should not exclude those people from playing the game. So the Paralympics is one thing, and the Paralympics will help us to get those 500,000 people, but we'll get them with or without the Paralympics.
Juan, Two things. What's it like to come around the other side of the world and see your photo on the back page of the paper?
Unreal. Yeah, you know, we just arrived on Sunday after a really, really long trip. I've been all year long traveling, but this was the longest one. And to arrive here, I didn't know the place first time here, and the next day see my picture on the back page of one of the most read newspapers has been awesome. You know, it's difficult to explain, and you know, people back in Spain don't understand what's going on.
Do you try to explain that to them?
I tried, and you know, you have to be proud of the work you are doing here, guys, because the media exposure this event is having is uncomparable as we now have in Europe, I guess. So I think you are doing quite a good job.
Does it make you proud too, Mike, to see that?
Certainly does. I think that I'd like to think that our country looks after people with disability very, very well. I think about what it must have cost for me to be looked after in hospital. Spent 6 months in hospital and I didn't pay a dime. So to be in this country, I feel, you know, if you're going to catch meningococcal, Australia's not a bad place to catch it. So I feel very grateful, very thankful for that. It's wonderful. We've got so many great golf courses. Australia's golf mad, and we've got so many great international players. And now some of the guys that have been doing it for a long, long time. Jeff Nicholas's record is quite incredible. He's now being recognised for what he's been able to do, and hearing him tell his story last night was pretty exceptional. And I feel like, you know, being 35, I wish this had happened 10 years ago, to be honest with you, because you know, injuries pop in and things like that as you get a little bit older, and probably more so when you haven't got when you're missing a couple of pegs as well. So you know, it's a great step forward, and hopefully we can start to see young people involved in the game, and also women. We'd love to get a lot of more female participation in the sport. Down in Victoria, we've formed Amputee Golf Victoria, and we're trying to create initiatives that'll get more young people involved in the game, because you know, there's just not enough people between the age of 20 and 30 that are playing, and this type of thing is going to inspire that to those numbers to grow.
Just one last one. Talk us about, you know, you stopped playing with your prosthetic and it actually improved your game. Talk us about those challenges, about, you know, managing how you play and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I started playing golf 2 times, as I usually said. I started playing golf like 10, 12 years ago with my granddad, and at that time I was wearing a prosthetic. So I was quite a good player. I got 4 handicap at that point, and then they offered me an operation just to get walking better. So I had to have a little amputation more than what I had now. So I decided, okay, I'll go for it. So it was the worst decision in my life. I was really in trouble for a few months, and you know, when you are 16 years and you are 6 months in a bed, it's not really easy. And obviously, if it's your decision, it's even worse, because if it's an accident, it's just an accident. But when you took that decision, it's like, fuck, what did I do? So one day I went back to my coach and said, Pepe, I need to go back to golf. And I remember on the driving range, we had 2 stages, and we were on the second one. And he told me, okay, but you need a prosthetic. No, I cannot wear a prosthetic. I have to play golf like this. And he was like, oh my God, let's go down floor. So we started playing again, and you know, the challenge was so big. And then we realized that we couldn't get better the swing if the body would not get better. So we started working another way, different way. Now we spend more time in the gym than I spend on the driving range. I don't like the gym, but I have to stay there more time if I want to play as I actually do. So the challenge is much more bigger than a guy with two legs, 2 arms. Obviously, we have to be much stronger, and our training times has to be. We cannot train so many hours as the other guys do. I cannot hit 1,000 balls a day. I need to hit 150. But if I hit 150 balls, I have to be so focused for those 115 balls. So it's kind of different kind of training. I think it's harder, because in shorter time you have to do the same thing as the other guys are doing. So it's quite a challenge.
You said you love to win Paralympic gold if it ever crops up. Would you like to be a pro, just a regulation pro?
I would love to. I think it will be a way to prove that we can achieve what we want to do. So I've got a friend in Belgium, which is Cedric Lescut, that he was a professional player before his accident, and he's now wearing with prosthetic, and he's still a professional player. So I would like to join Cedric, and I wish I could do it as soon as possible. So I think it will get even more exposure to disabled golf worldwide. So I think we will all win if I can achieve that goal.
What's your lowest score around a course?
Do you want the truth, or I can just say one?
Give us both.
On my home course, which is Pedreña, northern Spain, Say Ballesteros golf course, I shoot 65, which is 5 under. And in competition, I think I shoot 67.
How far do you hit the ball off the tee?
How far? Depends. If I hit it with the heel of the club, it's like 250.
Today, no wind.
Yeah, no wind. With driver, I should be carrying about 260 yards, 70.
And say a 6 iron?
6 iron, I'm like in yards, 190 yards.
And your short game is, how do you rate that?
Magical.
Magical. No more questions.
I'm Spanish. What can you expect?
And your home course is Sevi's old playground.
Yeah, it's really special to be from there. You know, I mean, when you come from a town that Say Ballesteros was the main man to watch, we all learn from that school. So in fact, it's not true. It's not false. From 100 yards to the hole, Northern Spanish are the best in Europe. Oli, what about Olazabal?
Yeah.
Sebi, all these guys, Sergio, they're Spanish, nothing else.
Yeah.
Postigo,
yeah.
Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, go Liv.
What are your expectations for playing the Lakes? Have you got a number in mind for what you're going to shoot? And will you be looking at how that stacks up against the guys playing in the Australian Open?
Definitely not. Not gonna compare my scores to a professional scores at all. That'll just be counterproductive altogether. So I think my expectations are probably a little bit less lofty than Juan's, but I just want to be able to get out there and play like I know I can, which is a very, very good level of golf. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to win. It'll be wonderful. I'd have to play my very best, and everyone's legs would have to fall off for that to happen. But something between sort of 75 and 83 would be a good target for me to aim for. And I'm probably going to get in trouble from Christian for saying that. But yeah, that's where I sit. But this guy here is probably wanting to shoot 65 or better.
Well, I've been playing the course this week, and I have to say it's presenting it really good conditions. I think this guy's job around here has been awesome. I mean, great design. I mean, really tough to play, but in fact it's fair. You know, it's a tough golf course, but if you know where to be and where not to be, you can shoot the low scores. I mean, the key goal is those shots to the green, not to be risky, because sometimes you see the pin position over there, but you may have to aim 10 yards to the right. So if my caddy keeps me cold, because I'm Spanish blood, so it's like I have to hit the pin. No, stay there. So if he does his job well, I think we can make a good score out there.
Awesome. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. We really wish you both, Mike and Juan, the best of luck this week, and more importantly, that the championship goes well for now and into the future. Thanks very much.
Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you very much.